This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Onside Kick. My name is Ricky Widmer, and as always, I'm joined by the Mark Weber.
Dub them ease.
And Mark, today we have a special guest, but it's not really the guest that we've had in the traditional sense. We're trying something out new here.
Talking about the
for
Lions
the Onside
fan?
Kick.
Is it the Lions
no,
guy?
we don't have Lions guy on today.
Not the Lions
We've
guy.
got our own Tony Reale in studio with Sean Anderson, who's going to be exactly that. He's going to be our Tony Reale when we're talking. He's going to fact check us, make sure that we're staying on pace. And Sean, if you want to say something, you can say hi to everybody out there.
I think it's more, my name more should be Stat Bitch, because that's basically who I'm going to be. But hello, everyone.
That's
I'm
basically
Stat Bitch. Yeah.
what Sean's going to be doing today for us. But we've got a jam-packed show for you guys. We're going to be talking some Super Bowl 50, some Johnny Manziel, some Calvin Johnson. Is he a Hall of Famer? And we're going to start with that big game, Super Bowl 50, because really this week, I came in and I told you, Mark, it's like, last week, we're like, oh, this podcast is going to be Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. And then Calvin Johnson said, but hey, guys, I'm going to decide to retire. And Johnny Football's like, hey, I'm going to decide to get myself released. Is that cool with you guys?
Yeah, like, is it fine if I get out of here? I really want to leave Cleveland. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people would think that he's kind of been doing everything in his power to really ruin his time in Cleveland. Whether it's because he doesn't want to be there, because really, who wants to go to Cleveland? Would you bring your family to Cleveland?
No, I would not.
Exactly.
I visiting only, but we're going to start with the big game, Super Bowl 50. And Mark, I'm going to ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
Does Denver have a chance? Because you're probably the only person I know picking them.
Oh, yeah. Denver's got a chance, all right. They have the better defense of the two. Not by much, but it is a little bit better. They've got the way... Statistically, I would say they've got the better passing game. Mm-hmm. Run game, of course, is going to go to Carolina because that's what they do. They run the ball.
Well, Jonathan Stewart compared to C.J. Anderson is easily
no comparison.
Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah. So, I mean, here's the thing for me when it comes to Denver. I want Carolina to win. I do because I like to claw up. I claw up all day, every day.
But you're picking Peyton Manning.
Because I've been saying for the last 4 years now that the man would ride off into the sunset with a Super Bowl victory. This is try number 2. We're hoping it's going to happen. And I really do think that he knows he's going to retire, and he's going to do everything in his power to walk away with that second Super Bowl victory so he can tie better Manning.
Well, and he told family members that he's most likely going to retire.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
After the Super Bowl. And I mean, let's be honest. Calvin Johnson said the same thing to his family, and look what happened. But the one thing I totally glanced over that I need to mention is, can we just say how that Super Bowl opening night thing was so fucking stupid? Did you even watch it, Mark?
No.
And I watched a little bit of it when I came home from the Primetime podcast that me and Brandon recorded. Go ahead and check it out on our SoundCloud page. Kind of pit myself out there, but it was one of those things where I'm watching Cam Newton. It's like, okay, cool. And I saw Josh Norman put on a luchador mask, and I was like, you know what? I think it's time to switch over to the Iowa caucuses. I think it's time to watch a little bit of Hillary and Bernie. That's how boring the Super Bowl opening night was for me. A guy like me who doesn't pay attention to politics went over and watched politics.
Mm-hmm. And the beginning of the politics, this isn't really preseason politics anymore. This might be game 3 of the preseason politics. I don't really care. I don't care about Media Week very much. I think it's dumb. I think it's all just a bunch of it's just grasping for something. You know, you can see the questions to Peyton Manning, and it's like, hey, are you going to retire? You really think he's going to go, yeah. He would have said it already if he was going to, so asking him 5-6 times isn't going to change anything, make anything different.
Well, I mean, today they had, of course they're doing more interviews, and it's like Cam Newton talking for 10 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, I've got to switch to something else, because there's so much of, an actual interview on SportsCenter that I can actually take. And it's once it went over to SVP SportsCenter, I'm like, cool, I'm back on the SportsCenter wagon. But until we got to that, I was like, oh my God, just have it during the day and show me the best parts at night.
Yeah, you got to fill so much time. I don't care about that very much. I just think for this game, I know, Ricky, you're saying it's going to be a blowout. Or you have, there's two options. One of which you think is going to be a blowout.
This is what's going to happen. It's either going to be one of these two in my mind. Number one, it's going to be the game that I would love to see because it'll be entertaining, where Broncos defense shuts the door and Cam Newton and Jonathan Stewart and their core of wide receivers this year, because Benjamin is injured, is like, holy crap, we have never faced a defense like this all year. And then the other side, the Panthers defense is like, don't worry, bro, we're keeping you in the game. You just do you and try to chip away. That's the game I want to see because it's going to be entertaining. It's going to be fun to watch. However, the one that I think we're going to see is that the Panthers defense just shuts the door on Noodle Arm, as you like to call him, and Cam Newton just says, you know what, I'm not going to play as good. We're not going to blow them out as much as we did Arizona, but our defense is playing just enough to do better against your offense than your defense did against us.
Yeah, I definitely... I think for the sake of the Denver Broncos, they have to keep it close. The defense has to be doing what they've been doing all season, which is letting Peyton Manning be in the position to win a game. But yeah, if they can't do that, then I don't think they have a chance. If Carolina can go out there and just have their way with this team, with this defense, you can't expect Peyton Manning, the noodle arm, to go out there and do it. He just doesn't have it in him. But if he can dink and dunk his way up 4 yards at a time, then he's going to do what he's been doing all season, essentially.
Well, and I can't even remember
assuming he doesn't throw all the interceptions.
I can't remember which cornerback it was for the Panthers. They asked him yesterday at opening night. I almost called it media night, but I guess it's opening night now. Oh, well, what about the weak arm of Peyton Manning? He's like, well, I don't know what you guys are watching. I haven't seen... He hasn't been weak to me. It's like, really? Have we been watching the same year? The guy who it physically looks like it hurts his arm to throw more than 40 yards down the field?
Yeah. Well, he can't say that. He doesn't want to give any motivation to big old five-head out there.
And I don't know, let's be honest. When Peyton Manning has had 3 Super Bowls, this will be his 4th Super Bowl. The teams that he has played, in case you're too young or don't remember, the Bears, the Saints, and the Seahawks. The 2 teams that have beaten him, Mark, what have they had on the offensive side?
Quarterbacks.
A quarterback. The Bears, let's be honest, the Bears
there was no
team
quarterback
that year, Rex Grossman was carried to the Super Bowl by that defense. And that was
in spite of Rex Grossman.
And that was Peyton Manning's only Super Bowl win. The other one's Drew Brees and Russell Wilson. Another interesting thing that I found out on ESPN, in that, those 3 games, he's had 3 touchdowns compared to 4 INTs, and 2 of those INTs have gone for touchdowns. Because of that, I'm saying Josh Norman or any of the other just Panther cornerbacks, they're going to get a pick 6, at least one of them.
In a normal situation, I'd probably say yeah, but the fact that Peyton Manning can't throw the ball that far, I really don't think there's going to be an opportunity. I really don't.
I think if they're going to pick it off for a pick 6, it's going to be a jumped route. They're going to jump a slant or jump a curl.
I just can't. I can't imagine that Gary Kubiak is letting Peyton Manning hold on to the ball for more than 2 seconds a snap.
Well, this is something.
Get in your arm, throw it.
This is where I think the Panthers defense is going to be okay. They're getting into a rhythm. They're doing this. They're going to call the slant, and the cornerback's just going to jump on it and get right in front of either Thomas or Sanders and just carry it off into a touchdown. It's going to be like one of those ones where it's like, oh, he jumped the slant perfectly.
Yeah. You got to hope for there's no drops, too, in Peyton's case here. Because, like I said, they're going to go for short yardage. You don't have the opportunity to miss a play, miss a down in that case. It'll be interesting. If any team can pick off a quarterback, it is the Carolina Panthers. That's what they do. They force turnovers. They do a great job of it. It's going to be interesting. I'm excited to watch this Super Bowl. I really am. I don't really care one way or another about Peyton Manning that much, but I would like to see the guy ride off in the sunset with one more. I would really hate to see him go in and lose yet another Super Bowl, to lose 3 in a row. in a row for him.
Yeah, for him personally.
Yeah, to lose 3 in a row.
Because he won in 2007, then it was...
7.
It was that 06-07 year, and then he lost to Drew Brees, that was, 11, and then Russell Wilson in 13?
Or was that 2005, 2006?
All right, 2007 for the Bears. It was February 4th, 2007, so 2006, 2007.
Good job, Ricky.
Super Bowl, where they faced off against the New Orleans Saints, February 7th, 2010, so 2009, 2010. Okay. And then Super Bowl against Seattle was February 2nd, 2014, so 2013, 2014 season.
Yeah, it was it's that Saints one to me where I didn't know, the year. The only reason I know that Bears year is because I remember that was my junior year, and that was my golden birthday, and I usually, how I did my birthday was I had people over for the Super Bowl, because my birthday's in early January. What do you want to do in early January? Let's wait till February and have the Super Bowl. But, on the Panthers side, Cam Newton, this is his first Super Bowl, and not only, it's kind of hard for me to say, well, is the nerves going to be there for Cam Newton? Because to me, it's kind of like the same situation as Russell Wilson. When he played the Broncos, it was his first Super Bowl as well, and he wasn't a first overall pick. The thing I think with Cam Newton that's going to be interesting to see is going up against a good defense as well. However, the Broncos knew the plan to beat Tom Brady. Don't let him step up in the pocket. Whereas Cam Newton, he's going to have to use his legs for the team to win this game. He's going to have one big rush play for them to win this game.
Well, yeah, we talked about it last week where I was essentially saying for Cam Newton, just go out there and play like this is the last game of your career. You got to play the same way that Peyton Manning's playing, because Peyton Manning's going to do that. He's saying this is it.
Well, this is it, yeah.
This is it. It actually is. So Cam Newton's got to go out there and do the same thing, play like you're playing out in the backyard. Just go out there, be crazy, be Cam Newton. The Cam Newton who, maybe more of Cam Newton who came out of college immediately. I think that's going to benefit you, because that's just making it more difficult for this Broncos defense. They just got one more guy. And also, you do that, they can't just focus on stopping your running back to take away the run game. Because if, the Carolina Panthers don't get that run game going, they got second best rushing yards, second best rushing attack, essentially. If they can't get that going, then, it's going to be tough for them, because the passing game is not what this team does. They are defense, and they are running the ball.
And the one thing you could look at is this is the largest age gap of between two starting quarterbacks in Super Bowl history. And you could legitimately look at this and say it's a father versus son kind of matchup, because 39 years old to 26 years old, Peyton Manning kind of like the father of the NFL right now, where Cam Newton, 26, kind of younger. He's like the little son. I know he's not a rookie, but he's kind of on that younger side of NFL players. Peyton Manning's been there before. This is his fourth rodeo. I know he said this could be his last one, but this is his fourth rodeo in the big game. Cam Newton's ever been here. Yeah. This season, though, I know the injuries have been there, but Cam Newton, 35-10 touchdown to INT. However, Peyton, when he's come back in the playoffs, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He is yet to throw an interception. I think he throws one in this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big talking point, too, for if it does happen, when it's going to happen. Another thing I think to look out for the Carolina Panthers, this team scores points. They score the most points out of anybody, and they've been doing it in the postseason so far. So are they going to be able to get off to that big lead? And they've been doing it early. Are they going to be able to do it early, or are the Denver Broncos actually going to stop them? Because they're talking about it in practice every day. How do we stop this team from scoring 2-3 touchdowns on us immediately?
Well, and another thing that's going to hurt that, I think, in this game is the Denver defense might be able to come out early and stop this Panther attack, because I'm going to give the credit to Denver's both of these defenses are good defenses. There's a reason why they say defenses win championships, but this show isn't called cliches, so I'm not going to go into that. But the one thing that I think is going to hurt Denver is if Peyton can't do anything against this Carolina defense, eventually the more shots that Newton has against Denver's defense, he's going to find a way to beat it at least once for a touchdown. So, like, okay, 7-0. Okay, it's manageable. Okay, 14-0. Come on, Peyton, you got to do something. By the time it gets to 21-0, if it gets there, this Denver defense is going to be like, come on, do something for us.
Yeah.
And Peyton might be, maybe, hey, guys, I'm trying. We're not going to get into if Brock the Cock sees the field this game because he won't.
It would be fun if he did. I'm still saying it would be fun if Brock the Cock came in and won the Super Bowl.
And won the game for him?
That'd be great. Especially if it was like, they were down by 28, and then here comes the young gun, Brock the Cock, ready to make his name known in the NFL.
But another point I'm going to make, and this goes just for Denver, this is a must, like, I know, like, in the Super Bowl, it's a must-win game because nobody wants to lose in the Super Bowl. But if Denver doesn't win this Super Bowl, they're going to wait a few years before they come back. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that is this upcoming offseason, Von Miller, Danny Trevathan, Brandon Marshall, 3 linebackers hit offseason. They're not going to get all 3 of them back. Next year, they'll make the playoffs. They'll be like, okay, cool, we're still good. However, in 2017, DeMarcus Ware and Darian Stewart, defensive end and safety. So the next 2 for like off seasons, they're going to lose 5 key defensive pieces.
Brock is also a free agent.
Brock is also a free agent too, so they could lose Brock. Yeah. I mean, there's no guarantee that Brock's coming back,
especially because they did make him go take another seat.
But with that defense, just this offseason, Von Miller, Trevathan, Brandon Marshall, I mean, some of those guys may come back, but the thing I'm hinting at is I don't think Von Miller comes back. Mm-hmm. To be honest, I am riding the train of if Denver loses this game, Von Miller is in a Bears uniform next year. I'm calling it.
I guess it's possible. I would be surprised.
Von Miller goes to play with his old coach, John Fox.
It's one big splash, and being the Bears fan, I know Ryan Pace wants to spread the money out this time. One thing I will say, too, that's interesting, this has been being talked about a little bit today as we're recording on Tuesday, that John Elway was saying that this is the reason we got Gary Kubiak, that we had to let John Fox go and we went in this direction. To win a Super Bowl? Yeah, and I think that's interesting, too, because now
he actually came out and said that?
Basically, he's saying this is why we got rid of John Fox, and this is why we went with Gary Kubiak, the direction we went in. And I'm saying you have to win now.
No, you do.
You can't go out there and say this and then not win.
If Kubiak loses, now it looks like, well, wait, you got this guy to win and you lost? He did the same thing John Fox did, so why did we get rid of John Fox?
Exactly, so they got to do it.
The exact quote from LA was, "We got a good regular season, but struggled in the first round. So yeah, the idea, the goal was what our owner wants is to win a championship. That's why we made the decision last year to go in a different direction. And Gary's done a tremendous job."
See, and I don't buy that though. I do not buy that. The reason why I don't is when you see Kubiak as a player, he was a 3-time AFC champion in 86, 87, and 89, of course, all with the Broncos because that's where he played his career. And I mean, I know he's a 3-time Super Bowl champion as a head coach, but those Super Bowls that he was on, I mean, the 49ers, who was his...
Not as a head coach.
Not a head coach. Yeah. This is just as a coach, period. So the first Super Bowl he won, he was a quarterback's coach. Who was his, and I'll give you a hint, Mark, his young quarterback?
Might it be a Steven?
It was a Steve Young. Then the next Super Bowl he was in as a coach. Well, the next 2, actually. Who was his quarterback who is now his boss? John Elway. It's kind of hard to say, well, you know what? Elway. I won these Super Bowl. I'm a Super Bowl winning coach when your quarterbacks are 2 of the best Hall of Famers that, we talk about this game is Steve Young and John Elway. John Elway being the one that actually got to ride off into the sunset, holding that Lombardi trophy over his head. So to me, I look more at what did you do when you were the Houston Texans head coach? How many playoff wins did you have then, big guy?
Whopping 0.
So many.
Right? It's 0 or 1. I don't remember it's 0 or 1.
I think he was 1-1 with, or two wins with Houston.
Beat the Bengals. He beat the Bengals.
Oh, of course,
that 1 year.
the Bengals.
Yeah, because the Bengals have 0. But it's still, what did you do then? You didn't do anything. So to me, I put, if you were asking me, well, Ricky, who's got the advantage at head coach, Panthers or the Broncos? I'm going with Ron Rivera.
You like Riverboat Ron?
I love Riverboat Ron, and it's weird because it kind of contradicts what I just said, because Ron Rivera, this is his first head coaching job. He has never been a head coach before he came to the Carolina Panthers in 2011. However, as a player, he played on one of the best goddamn teams that ever play in the NFL.
That's right.
Ron Rivera's head coaching regular season winning percentage is 59.6%. Gary Kubiak, if you look at him, he's got a 51% winning percentage.
So about a 5% difference between the two.
And then in the postseason, Kubiak has a 60% winning percentage, where Rivera has a 60% winning percentage as well.
And that's in a shorter, I want to say a shorter time period, maybe even the same as Kubiak wasn't with the Texans for that long.
It was shorter.
Okay. And then, like I was saying, though, with the Bears, like he played on that 85 Bears team. To me, as a Vikings fan, maybe it's because I grew up in Chicago, so I got to hear about it. Like everyone that I grew up with sang the Super Bowl Shuffle, even though it was like the 90s and the 2000s. That's the best. To me, that's the best team to ever play, and I wasn't alive for it.
I've got it on vinyl.
What, the game or the
Super Bowl
song?
Shuffle?
Okay.
Got it on vinyl. Of course, you got to have it. Yeah, it's just, I don't necessarily know if I would lean one way or another. I think people know my opinions on Gary Kubiak. I don't think he's anything special. I think he's benefited from some really well-built rosters and hasn't done what he needs to with those rosters.
I think you brought it up in an old podcast when you texted last week during the AFC Championship game. You texted our little text group and you're like, man, I hate seeing Gary Kubiak in the Super Bowl. He's not that great of a head coach. And Brandon Swanson here at Most Valuable Podcast was like, what are you talking about? And you guys had a little argument about the Cougs.
Yeah, because, he's benefited from these really well-built teams and hasn't done enough to get them anywhere, significant. And in this case, he's got Peyton Manning, the best quarterback, but not in his prime. And that's what makes it dangerous. That's what makes it difficult. Because if it was Peyton Manning, back in the Colts days, then I don't think there's any questions about it. You got, if this team is the team you have, and you got Peyton Manning over in the Colts, you're going to win. You're going to beat the Carolina Panthers. But you don't have that in this situation. I think that Peyton Manning really, he needs to win this one. I am not one of those people.
This is his last chance.
I'm not one of those people that talks, about how players can ruin their legacy. Oh, what's their legacy going to be after this one thing?
No, he's Dan.
But
he's
this
not
is dangerous.
He's not Dan Marino because he has one.
But he's known as the choker. He's known as the guy who gets there and chokes. Kind of almost, how Brett Favre just was only able to get one. If
he loses this game, then you could already say he's already below his brother. But if he loses,
better Manning is better.
If he loses this game, Eli Manning will always be known as Elite Manning and Better Manning, because not only did he win more Super Bowls, he beat the GOAT both times.
Yeah.
He beat the GOAT Tom Brady both times. But we're going to move on. Before we do, final prediction. What's your score for Super Bowl 50?
All right, my score for Super Bowl 50, like I said, I think it's going to be a lower game than a lot of people expect. I'm going to go with 24-17.
24-17.
For the Broncos winning.
I'm going to go 38-14 in favor of the Panthers, and I'll let Sean jump in. You want to say your prediction, your score for Super Bowl 50?
It's going to be reminiscent of that Super Bowl 20 victory that Ron Rivera had over the New England Patriots. They won 46-10 over the New England Patriots. I'm taking the Panthers 45-10.
45-10.
Still not the largest amount of victory, though. Bengals won, 49ers beat the Bengals 55-10. So still not up there in the largest victory.